Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce the Honorable Nikki Haley, Governor of the State of South Carolina.
Thank you very much. It is a great day in South Carolina, and we could not be more excited than to be here for these awards. There has never been a time where science and technology mattered this much. Look at the fact that we have now become the new IT state across the country. We are known for the fact that we build things. We build planes, we build cars, we build tires. Everywhere you turn around in South Carolina, manufacturing is at its height. And it helps that they just named South Carolina one of the top fastest rising economies in the country. That all happens with science and technology. That all happens when we continue to raise the bar, whether it's our science and technical professionals that come together and say, we're going to do more than what we've done in the past, and we continue to raise the bar. So this is a celebration of 25 years. We look forward to the next 25 years. We appreciate that all of you are here today, and we look forward to seeing the superstars that we have in front of us. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, Governor Haley. Would MUSC bring the honoree to the podium, Dr. Crouch. And you're going to speak on behalf of Dr. Crouch. Mark.
My name's Marc Saltzman, the Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost at MUSC, and it's my distinct pleasure to be here to honor Dr. Rosalie Crouch for her very distinguished career, all of it at MUSC. I've asked Dr. Craig Crossan, who is the Associate Dean for Research, to comment on Dr. Crouch's career and her scientific accomplishments. He is a colleague of hers in the Department of Ophthalmology, as well as being the Associate Dean for Research. So he's seen her work very intimately from a number of perspectives. So please, Dr. Crossan.
Thank you, Dr. Saltzman, Governor Haley. It's really an honor to be here to be part of this Governor's Award for Excellence in Science to be presented to Dr. Crouch today. I first met Rosalie probably 18 years ago at an NIH panel reviewing grants, and that meeting was really unique for me in a number of ways. Rosalie stood out not only for her scientific acumen and what she brought to the panel, but at the time, there wasn't a lot of diversity on that panel either. And Rosalie might agree with that. And so she's really broken barriers, not only in science, but in promoting women in science. And rather than me just reading to you the list of accomplishments that Rosalie has achieved over many years now, I thought I'd try to give you an idea of the impact that she's had. Rosalie got a degree in organic chemistry from Randolph-Macon Women's College, went on to get a degree, a PhD in organic chemistry, and then brought those skills to MUSC in 1975 and asked a very simple question: what are the chemical reactions that are required in the retina to absorb a photon of light? And not just do it once, but to do it millions of times a day in a seamless fashion. And Rosalie's work really detailed the chemical reactions, the enzymes, the location of those enzymes, of how that process works, and what happens when those processes begin to degrade and go awry. What are the diseases that develop? And that would be a career for anyone, because that only took about 250 publications to do that over the course of these years. But Rosalie did something a little more unique than that. She also built a toolbox of chemicals that gets shipped around the world now for investigators to look at how these reactions happen. And I can tell you that neither NIH nor I can begin to describe the number of discoveries or the number of publications that have resulted from the toolbox of these chemicals that Rosalie has created. The other area that Rosalie's really excelled in is in the area of training. I counted them up this morning. Rosalie's been involved on the committee of 63 individuals that have gotten master's degrees, PhDs, or MD PhDs. And these individuals have gone on to be leaders of neuroscience institutes, chairmen at medical schools, program directors at NIH, all with remarkable careers in and of themselves. And what I'd like to do is just take 30 seconds now and just give you a little story of how all this has come together in one package to really change the lives of everybody in this state and really the country. A few years back now, Rosalie worked with a young man called Michael Redman, was one of his mentors. Michael went on to NIH, is leading one of the programs there now. And he'd been working with Rosalie and had been very interested in the chemistry that Rosalie had been working on for all these years. And one of the enzymes that was involved in this process that allows every one of us to see, he did the genetic sequence on, and that was RPE65. And that was, Rosalie and Mike went on to do a lot of work on that enzyme, but there was another group that was working on Leber's congenital retinopathy. And they sequenced that protein, and they found that the mutations in that protein, or that protein is RPE65. And why do I bring all this up? Because it was that protein where the first successful gene therapy trials have been conducted. And if you see the video of the young man where they cover up the treated eye that can't navigate the maze, and they take that patch off, and he's allowed to walk through a maze, read signs, it's truly amazing. And it's been described by Francis Collins as one of the 5 seminal things that's happened in the last 10 years at NIH, the successful treatment of Leber's congenital retinopathy. And I will tell you that there isn't a person in vision science today that would argue with the fact that that was built on the personal research of Dr. Rosalie Crouch, the tools that she created for all of us to use, and the training that she provided. So it's truly a unique individual, and I can think of no one more deserving to receive the Governor's Award for Excellence in Science than Dr. Crouch. Thank you very much.
Greg, again, please, this is Greg. He's going to actually hand you the check.
Congratulations.
We need one more. If y'all could, just one more shot with the echelon here.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations. We're very appreciative of the South Carolina Research Authority, Greg, and be sure to tell Bill this, that of your support, very much. Would Furman University bring the honoree forth, please? Dr. Einstein. And I think Dr. Besson is going to speak on his behalf.
I'm really pleased and honored to be here today to tell you a little bit about my colleague, Dr. Gill Einstein, and why he deserves this award. Gill attended Lafayette College as an undergraduate and then the University of Colorado for graduate school, and then moved to Furman for his first job in 1977. He's been here all that time, and during that time he has chaired the psychology department for a total of 15 years. He is now the William R. Keenan Jr. Professor of Psychology. Early on in his career at Furman, Gill became a master teacher. In 1985, he won Furman's Meritorious Teaching Award. And in 2006, the South Carolina Independent Colleges and Universities Association selected Gill as Furman's first winner of their Excellence in Teaching Award. Gill has also promoted top-notch science with undergraduates at Furman and on national stages. He was on the board of governors for several years for the National Conference on Undergraduate Research, and he served as a counselor for another number of years for the Conference on Undergraduate Research, a separate organization known as CUR or CUR. And in 2010, he was elected as a Kerr Fellow, one of only 12 fellows from all science disciplines in the country at that time. He has served on the editorial boards of 5 leading scientific journals, and his research has been well supported over the years by the NSF, NASA, and NIH, including 4 R01 awards. He has also published 6 books, 28 book chapters, and more than 70 refereed articles. Gill studies human memory. For most of its history, psychology has been interested in what is called retrospective memory. This is memory for events that have happened to you or information you've encountered prior, in your prior time. For example, memory of a high school dance is retrospective. It's memory of something in your past. But Gill was a pioneer in the study of another type of memory known as prospective memory. This refers to remembering to perform actions in the future at the appropriate time or in the appropriate context. For example, remembering to take your medicine at the right time is an example of prospective memory, as is remembering to pick up that loaf of bread on the way home after work. With colleague Mark McDaniel, Gill had his first scientific publication on prospective memory in 1990. In this publication, he described a novel, creative, laboratory-based technique that many, many others have used since then. Also, his theory of prospective memory is driving much of the empirical research in the field today. Just as an example of the impact that Gill has had on this exciting area of psychology, I did a search in one library database recently using prospective memory as a key word. Only about 6 published studies of prospective memory appeared before Gill's first publication. As of today, there are more than 1,200 entries after Gill's publication. About 53 of those are Gill's. And by the way, that first initial study in 1990 has, at last check, been cited 753 times. Gill is a master teacher, a creative and careful and prolific researcher. His record of working with undergraduates on top-notch science is truly exceptional. Gill Einstein clearly deserves the Governor's Award for Excellence in Science at a predominantly undergraduate institution.
It is wonderful to have this event in the rotunda, many people in the governor's office. It couldn't happen, and so we had to eliminate a lot of people. So I am so pleased that the insight was given to have an event like this where it could be seen by all the family members and so forth. Would the University of South Carolina's Dean for Arts and Sciences, Dean Fitzpatrick and Dan Rieger, bring the honoree from the University of South Carolina Chemistry Department to the podium.
Governor, distinguished scientists and guests and members of the family, I'm Marianne Fitzpatrick. I'm the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of South Carolina. I bring greetings from President Harris Pastides, who is otherwise involved today, and he really enjoys this event very much in terms of its the commitment that the governor shows to science and technology. It's my great honor to present our award winner today for Young Scientific Achievement, Karen Otten. Karen is a protein biochemist. She works in protein biochemistry. She joined our faculty in 2005, having completed her postdoctoral work at Johns Hopkins University. It was no surprise to us, given her early promise, that in 2009, she was chosen as one of the top 100 researchers in this country, and she received a Presidential Young Investigator Award, I believe one of the first ones in the state of South Carolina. So we were delighted to hear that she's being recognized in her home state as one of the leading young scientists in our state because of the quality of her work and because of her commitment to science. Today, speaking on behalf of the department is the chair of the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, the former chair, who was responsible for recruiting Karen and her husband Frank to our faculty. A detail of significance he never ceases to remind me of, at any rate, Professor Dan Rieger. Dan?
Thank you, Rita. I do confess to being proud of the fact that I did what you just said, actually. Hiring not only Karen, but her husband Wayne out into the Department of Chemistry. But I will say, Marianne Fitzpatrick made it happen. I walked into her office with two candidates for one position and said, look, we got to hire them both. They're terrific. And I think it took about a minute by the time she said yes, because she really knows quality as well. Karen came with tremendous credentials and immediately lived up to them in our department. Built up a really nice big research group quite quickly, postdocs, graduate students, and a large number of undergraduates as well. And obviously must have put them on awfully good research projects because quality papers started rolling out right away from that lab. A lot of really full, complete story kinds of papers that have an impact, and that impact was noticed across the country and internationally, and she started getting invited to a lot of other universities, international and national meetings, and in fact, she's starting to make the mistake of being the organizers of those international meetings now. That's how successful she's been, so it's really been a great program. Now, of course, funding is very important in sciences, and she actually came with an NIH grant, a starter grant, and has gotten two RO1s in the last few years. And one of those, as Marianne indicated, was a Presidential Early Career Award. And this is really a big deal. We've looked it up, and we haven't found anyone that's got one for at least 10 years in the state of South Carolina. So they fly you up to Washington. You get to go to the White House and shake the big guy's hand yourself. So this is something we're really very proud of in the Department of Chemistry. I should also point out that she's a terrific teacher. She teaches at the med school as well as here on the main campus, and both undergraduates and graduates. Another thing that is really important in education, those PhD students and undergraduates that work in her lab, she works closely with them, trains them very well. Research is very much teaching as much as it is doing quality research, and Karen does a terrific job in that area. So we're really very proud of her, and finally I'd like to say she's really a terrific colleague. We're glad to have her. Karen, we go on?
That's right. Stand beside the governor. She's the rock star today.
David, it'd be tough to do this. Thank you so much. And certainly a thanks to the governor for giving her valuable time to be with us today and support science in the state of South Carolina. Thank you so much. I understand. Frank, after you, I might not have that chance. Would the University of South Carolina, College of Engineering and Computing, Department of Mechanical Engineering, escort the honoree to the podium? Frank, you the honoree.
Didn't want to be forgotten.
And Dr. Camille, you're going to start? Yep. All right, Dr. Collins.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Honor, esteemed award winners, and respected audience. It's my pleasure to introduce Frank Chen for this prestigious award. Frank is a very successful product of South Carolina's investment in higher education. He works in a South Carolina Economic Development Center, which is Smart State Centers. He's one of the junior hires. In 2007, we hired the first Smart State chair, Dr. Reef Snyder, and in his center, Frank was one of the first young professors to be hired. And in the last 7 years, he has more than paid off the investment that South Carolina made in this regard. Professor Chen is a wonderful researcher, but he also, and I'll let Dr. Reef Snyder talk about his research. What I want to say is that he's an excellent teacher, and he does a lot of social work. His service activities are unique. He does a demonstration of his fuel cell work for high school students, for middle school students, and every so often we'll have visitors. And what that does is helps students from South Carolina to be motivated for science and technology, which is very, very essential for economic development of the state. So he's doing a lot for the state, and now I'll let Dr. Reef Snyder talk a little bit about his research.
Thank you, Dr. Kahn. In 2007, when I came here to form the Smart State Center, Professor Chen was the first person I hired. He came to us from United Technologies, and he made the transition quickly. He introduced a fuel cell science and engineering class, and that's one of the reasons that this state is rated in the top 5 in the United States in fuel cell science and engineering. He also, in the last 6 years, has written over 80 proposals to get funding, bringing in tens of millions of dollars. And as a matter of fact, his return on investment is well over 10 to 1, which is much better than we can do in the stock market, of course. So he has done the job well, but it's the science that's being celebrated today. Professor Chen develops materials in a very special way. He has a feeling for how to do that. He has published over 80 publications in referee journals over the last 6 or 7 years. These are celebrated all over the country. He's been invited to give lectures in several countries. He is on the editorial board of an international journal, and this in just 6 years. So he's had quite an impact on the field. He's also been invited to review the proposals of other people for the National Science Foundation, which is an indication of his credit. This has brought recognition to us and to our state. Professor Kahn mentioned that he is also given of his service. He's remarkably dedicated, in my view, to outreach activities. He's been involved in summer programs and outreach programs for teachers as well as students. And finally, there is the issue of patents. We think of people in ivory towers at universities, but that's just not quite real in the present world. Professor Chen has filed 7 patents, which means that his research is affecting our lives. These are innovations that we use in our lives from day to day. So we're all very proud of what he has done, We're quite sure that this award will motivate him to continue his excellent work, and we wish him well for that. Thank you.
Robin, you playing double role here. Robin, you're supposed to give him a check during this picture taking.
Such a pleasure. Thank you.
If possible, and if the governor's willing, I'd like to get the 4 honorees here and a picture with the governor, all 4, if you could. And then one other picture with David and Greg, the sponsors, and that would conclude.
Rob, yeah. Rob, can we move the podium? No, that's okay.
Well, that way you'd be more different flags.
A lot better.
David and Greg, y'all please come forward. And Robin, you may want to get in this too. Dr. Crouch, would you bring your family forward?
Family?
Y'all already stay close by.
You can do it, come on. There you go.
Dr. Einstein and Dr. Einstein's family.
Thank you very much. Oh, happy to do it. Congratulations.
Your family?
Yes, yes.